Hi everyone, it is Thursday, and I wanted to share something that I heard today. I was out running my errands and taking the rest of my junk to Goodwill and recycle in the dump, and doing the last of the purging and cleanup and sorting. And I was listening to an audiobook, one of my audiobooks by Tosha Silver, and one of the things that she was talking about was cutting cords, which was very appropriate because the past today's Thursday, it's past 4 days every day, I have heard or seen or read something that had to do with cutting cords. And so I took that as a message that, yeah, I need to be cutting some cords, which actually today really, she had a lot of information that was really, um, really hitting me hard. And this is the third or fourth time that I've actually listened to her book. And each time I listen, I get something new. I pay more attention to what's being said to particular topics. But so the cord cutting, and interestingly, Monday night when I was doing my meditation before sleeping, and I did a cord cutting meditation, which was really helpful, and I did sleep well after that. But a lot of times we don't realize that we have unconscious cords and attached to people, places, things, ideas, beliefs, old ways of being in the past, or destructive behaviors from the past or the current that that we don't need anymore, that no longer serve us. And so now this is a time for us to cut those cords. And it was interesting because there were some, sometimes I'll think that I'm healed from something, or I've passed on from something, and then I'll be triggered. And then it's like, oh, I guess there's still, there's still some cords left on that one. I need to cut some more cords. And because I can feel emotionally, and then it manifests physically, I can feel that, yeah, there's still that tugging there that doesn't need to be there. And on a call Monday night, also, the speaker was talking about cutting cords as well. And I made a comment that, sometimes when we imagine cutting cords, I imagine, taking scissors and cutting a rope. They're never threads. They're never little tiny ones. They're always a big, thick rope. And so I've got a pair of scissors or a knife, and I'm cutting that rope. And but I realized that with some situations and some things that I've held on for a long time, or held on to for a long time, it feels like it's not a rope or a cord. It's a freaking 1-inch chain. 1-inch thick chain. I need to get a saw and try and saw that sucker off. But we got a little bit of laugh about that. But it's important that we do cut these cords, and oftentimes they're tied to stories that we don't need to be telling ourselves anymore about anything. And so this could be like this may be a time where you may need to be cutting cords with relationships, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship or some other type of, whatever relationship you might be in or be connected to. You may need to be cutting cords to some old beliefs and some old ideas that no longer serve your highest good. And oftentimes the beliefs and the ideas that we have, they're not always true, because they are attached to memories from the past or actions from the past. While the past is a stepping stone for us to grow and to evolve, there are times when we need to cut those cords and let that go, because that could be hindering us from further growth or taking steps or making decisions that will help us to move forward and upward. The self-destructive behaviors, oftentimes there are cords that, for me personally, it feels like some of these cords are the switch for behaviors that are less than healthy. For example, I could be triggered, or in the past I could be triggered, and some self-destructive behaviors would be, for example, eating sugar, or overeating, or eating emotionally, or closing down, just totally closing down and not feeling because I didn't want to feel the pain, or I'm using behaviors to cover up the pain from these cords that are from the past that are yanking on me. They're like choking me And they don't need to be because they're gone. They're from the past, but the pain was still there, and it was like they were like, yeah, I'm still here. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Let's do something destructive to ourselves. And so I had to. That was part of the cord cutting was cutting those self-destructive, addictive behaviors that were basically self-medicating, and so that was a good one for me to remember. Old ways of being. There, when we're growing up or we're going through situations, sometimes we are acting or being a certain way out of fear or out of survival, or just survival is a big one. But we don't need to hang on to the old ways of being, because there's always a new way to be, and there's always a new way to see ourselves. There's always and part of the new way of being is to remain present, to be present, and to just be. Sometimes we have to let go of doing and just be, relax, flow, and make sure that anything that is hindering us from that flow or from that being, the natural being in the present, it should be cut off as well. And it's not always easy, and sometimes we have to do that several times. Sometimes we have to practice it over and over and over again, because we don't realize how many cords that we have attached to that particular person, place, or thing, or situation, or belief, or idea. And there are times that it's just so tight and so ingrained that we have to, it might be a daily or a weekly practice until those cords are cut. But still, it's just the practicing and the doing it's actually quite interesting, and you may find some new insights, and you may find a feeling of freedom, and it may be scary, because when you're cutting some cords, that could mean death to, or feel like death to some people, death to the old ideas, death to the old beliefs that no longer serve you, because you don't need to just barely survive anymore, or you now remember who you are, when before you had forgotten who you truly are, and so this was just a really good reminder that we can cut those cords, and sometimes we have to keep cutting for a while, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong. There is no wrong. There's no right way of doing it or wrong way of doing it, just as long as we are focused, and the intent and the intention is to cut those cords and to move on and have that freedom and be able to breathe easier and to flow easier and to move easier. And for me, when I do the cord cutting, I do feel more physical ease, and I find that I feel less physical pain, because that physical pain is connected, is the result of emotional pain, which the emotional pain is connected to those cords that I don't need to be hanging on to anymore. They just don't need to be hanging around there and tripping me up. And I'm sure some of you might feel the same way. You're feeling like you're getting tripped up. Well, it might be time to cut some really long cords. And yeah, but like I said, I was saying earlier, it could feel like death. It could feel like a death, but death to the old, and death to things that no longer serve you, and death to old beliefs and old thoughts that quite frankly aren't true, but they manifested simply because you may have been in a place of pain or fear or distress or despair or whatever it might be. Once you let those go, there's just a huge feeling of freedom, and I can attest to that. I practice that. But so anyway, if you have any cords to cut, happy cutting. And I do hope this information helps you. And like always, take whatever information resonates with you. What doesn't, that's okay too. It doesn't bother me. If you don't feel like some of this is right for you, that's perfectly fine. Just take what feels right for you. If you would like a Reiki healing session, let me know. We can set up an appointment to do that. If you would like readings or pendulum appointments, we can do that as well. Pendulum readings. And let's see what else. I think that was it. Yeah, I'm looking at sticky notes here too of things that sometimes I want to remember to say, but I threw away the ones that were important from yesterday, so I think we're good. So I hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon.